I'm guessing this might be mother of pearl that's also carved. And here the potter's trade. Notice that bench type thing for the potter to sit on, but balance precariously because his feet were working the wheel, and yet still be able to lean forward and throw the pots. How far back does his trade go? 4, 5, 10,000 years? And what was this for? You can imagine that holding some warm dish and a flask. Apparently these are the remaining parts of boats. So we can still see how they were held together with metal staples. Here, this looks more like a sledge. Probably an early garden, fence to keep the critters out, and a shack for a man to watch and maintain. Here for herding animals. Here a very heavy boat, and the nets. I guess it would be a pretty solid boat in the water. But notice how it was so precariously used. Wow. And here are models of other boats. This one a very curious one. It wouldn't be so curious if that were inflatable pontoons on the bottom, but it's not. I remember seeing these pictures, watching men in southern Mexico throwing their nets in a very, very shallow, huge estuary. And there's that boat right there that looks like it has a rubber pontoon at the bottom, probably for making and weaving nets. The one in the middle looks like something you'd use for hacking large slabs of blubber off of a whale. Now again, remember that these devices were used. They're not just replicas. So this was used on dark nights, if that's what it's for, although it may be something to puff smoke out for bees. I don't know. Nothing's in English. At least I can't bend down that far to find out. What was this device? A bee device? And here the cooper's trade. We stamp this stuff out in plastic now so cheaply and fast we can't appreciate how valuable and important these things were. And is that the bladder or something of some animal or stomach? It served as a water pouch or whatever. Imagine the skill with the tools they had to make these pieces fit so tightly that it was waterproof. And then the skill of wrapping it with these vines or whatever so tight that it would stay that tight. In this section, the wool trade. Don't know what the large vat was for unless you have to process the wool once you've sheared it off. Each of these items would have been used and intimate to some man, if not more than one, who plied his trade. And were these put on sheep to keep, or on dogs to keep wolves from killing them? Brands, perhaps? Shackles. Knives, scrapers, traps. Whoa, what are they trapping? Big bears. What would those troughs been used for? Feed, you would think, but who knows? And what are these staffs for? Is the detail at the top functional? You would think so. They're hook-like. Shepherd's walking staff. Is that a seed punch? For transporting water, moving water out of a stream into an irrigation system, perhaps. Look at that. How clever that is, that it was anticipated and cut from a tree that had branches just that. And here, one working even differently than that. Looks like it's water coming off of the top and powering some kind of machinery inside that shack. They've got great displays. It would be wonderful to have this in a museum, where more people will see it than just chance across it as I did. I think they put metal, that may be metal there, yes, on the tip. But otherwise, how rough it was, but what a great device it was, pulled by oxen, as opposed to doing it all by hand. And I imagine these worn out and had to be replaced. They'd hit rocks and get damaged. Notice the wedging system here, for getting it secured, but also perhaps for defining the angle. Some form of seed punch. Boy, that might have been a clever innovation. I mean, roughly done, but it might have been considered to really be an innovative thing in his little community, particularly if this was the first one. Was this some kind of rake, or did it just smooth the ground a bit? Certainly precursors of more modern metal equipment. Can only wonder at what some of these things were for. Making nets. We take metal for granted so much now, it's even plastic and composite. Imagine how tough your partner had to be to do that job. And still today I see folks bent over, same way, doing that kind of work. Imagine what a rich find it was to find these trees, although there you can see how they manufactured that third prong, if you will. Whereas in these it was naturally found. Lives were short and brutal, but I'm not sure that's how they saw it. To them, perhaps it was just survival in the way they lived. And they were expert at it. Perhaps a sledge for hauling things. Here a model of a stone home. And you wonder what that machinery did. Again here, taking an upstream water and channeling it down into the building to perform some function. Perhaps milling wheat or whatever. This the remains of a buggy and some pieces probably to be assembled at the new museum. Here a model of the old buildings I'd been looking for. Residence upstairs, no doubt, and a business down below.